I'm here.
There you go. All right, you got strong hands. You don't need a tripod. You're into it. So let's recap that last 2 minutes. Your state of play is what?
What's happened is RAL, the lift company, Ruapehu Alpine Lifts, that's operated Ruapehu, Whakapapa and Tura for 50 plus years, 50 plus years, has gone broke. My is that if you go back to the roots of RAL, it was a crowd-funded model from the beginning, skiers by the skiers for the skiers. What's happened in the last few years, have got in there and tried to apply a corporate model to it. When that happened, more corporate, and when that hasn't worked, they've tried to go more corporate still. Runway, they decided to borrow large, the Skywalker, and then along come COVID, then a La Nina year, which has been the season from hell. And so what I'd love to see happen is our fields get back to their roots, the formula that worked successful last years, which is crowd-funded, and see if we can't again.
So is your prediction that you'll crowd fund from all the life pass holders plus other public, or do you think that's the best route forward? Is RL to stay existing as the commercial, I guess, entity, and with new capital put into it with different leadership, or how does that look practically, you think?
Well, okay, so RL, yes, but it's a not-for-profit entity. Now, that's a really important standard corporation. They'll provide a service with the goal of making money. In the case of Ruapehu Alpine Lifts, it's got to be run commercially, but the goal is to provide a service. Now, it's a share, but no shareholder ever gets a cent of dividend. It really is. The only reason is because you give a damn. That's all. Now, curiously, one of the is that there's 14,000 life pass holders who paid into the mountain than anybody else, but they are not shareholders, and so they have no say in how the company is run. A situation that is manifestly unfair. Now, before this situation, a group of us were already campaigning behind the scenes, alternative reports to reanalyse RAL's to their bookwork and disagreed with their approach. But more importantly, entering closer and closer to the brink, we had devised a rescue pack went along the lines of this. Actually, a little background first. In the trust as well, and the trust has over the years gained more and more power now that it's completely controlling the company. It is entirely populated by a very toxic situation. So here's what we propose. Life pass holders who are disenfranchised from being shareholders get the company to create, I think it was 45,000 new shares to the life pass holders. We put a price on the yes at $270 a share, and we were going to get the life pass holders to buy for 5 years. The result of that was going to be threefold: raise the desperately needed money that the company needed. 2, it would give holders shares and therefore a say in the company. And remember, 3, it would have diluted those trustees' shares holdings down to 16% instead of the 55% they have now. and that would ensure the future of the company.
How viable do you think that possible strategy is compared to the other options? Like, what do you think the other options currently are practically that you think may have legs?
Well, of the company declaring itself broke have steamrolled over the top of our plan prior. So now you're asking whether options might be available. Perfectly, for many that I would call viable. Mr. Rich might want to buy the thing, or Vale Resorts from overseas might want to take the thing, or anyway, there's a number of them, but I don't think any of them would be palatable. Our core values of not-for-profit, of the skiers, for the skiers, by the skiers. I suspect they wouldn't be palatable to local iwi as well.
Speaking of local iwi, how would you describe the relationship to date to this point between RAL and iwi?
On to that relationship, but it's been hit and miss would be my thinking. Solid recognition amongst all locals that profit core constitution of RALs we're fighting for. Now, the people that may have been running it, we might disagree. Core values of the constitution of the company are a really good thing and worth.
Do you feel that any play moving forward has to be unified with iwi alongside or work with? Or how will this play out? Because they have to, right? There's no way for this to move forward without them on side, with regardless of what happens to either concessions or new possible operators. How does that go, you think?
Okay, I'm just a good old white boy. That any dealings that I've had with iwi in my time around here be incredibly positive, really, really positive. Instantly, and I can only speak for me, I absolutely relish the thought of them. And hey, look, they adore seeing their Mokapil too, just as anyone else does, because it's fun. That's the point. It's serious. I mean, you're a snowboarder. Snowboarding's a complete waste of time. And what do you actually achieve? Well, you've achieved the most enormously brilliant in your life. What's not to love about it? And we recognise.
So if you were to wave the percentage points of where you think this will end up, are you more or less than 50% that it might be successful to crowdfund all the life pass holders for a possible takeover play or something else? Like, do you have like a option A, B, C, and what do you think the percentage odds are of playing out over the next, say, 6 months?
I'm going to put us at 90% that this is going to succeed. It's not just those life pass holders; they're just that. Actually, I'll give you a touch of background here. We pitched a guess would be worth $270 a pop, but we've actually put a survey out there asking prepared to pay. Well, guess what? The result came back in, and we've got well overs now, and many of those responses, the whole family owned life passes, $170. They're prepared to pay $450 a share, and coming out as far greater. But that's only the life pass holders. The existing share, remember the people that have never had a dollar of dividend in their life, they too are prepared. Also, the ski club members up the hill, they too are prepared to pay. Heck, some local farmers have even said, hey, we'll put some money. People like the place. They love it. It's, Robert, I don't need to. It's just something that it's worth it. Now, what could happen in the future? Well, what needs to happen is to right this capsized ship, get it upright again, to work out how to move forward. That's another subject to get this thing back upright again.
The part where they've raised cash before, isn't this copy paste because you're basically going back to the well to ask more public to give more cash? Surely whoever's in charge is going to say what's going to be different now. So the question would be asked, what would be different now when you're going back to the well to ask more public to give more money for the thing they've already potentially paid for?
I think a lot can change. When RAL was given a monopoly, when they were given permission by the Commerce Commission to purchase Turoa, had gone broke after 2 eruption years and another Back to Future there. That's for sure. Now, what can these last years? I said the corporates had got in, but also the bureaucracy had got in. And as a monopoly has behaved precisely as you'd expect a monopoly to behave. They've become arrogant and lazy. There's far too many management, too many, not enough hard work being done. I'll give you the example of who run the Coronets, Remarkables and Mount Hutt. Geographically separated ski areas, but my understanding is that it's all year-round staff is around the 60 mark. Year-round staffing is about 95. So I think this can be done there.
The part there, Sam, is you just explained how corporates are corporates when they're so big with managers in the way, because that's what it's what they do. So new commercial structure or possible corporate structure to make it more effective for possible round 2 of crowdfunding, millions of dollars to go with it. What do you think should change in terms of the either corporate structure or layout or operationally or whatever to make Ruapehu actually be able to be sustainable financially for the long term?
It's, in a way, the name of the company is Ruapehu Alps, and that's exactly the name it should be, and that be run. The first word is Ruapehu. They should stick, not try and go out and have an office in Taupo or in Oakuni or that other stuff. Alpine. They should stick. Lifts. They should just get back to running lifts well. They should use best practice on maintenance and just simplify the company down to that core of not trying to diversify out to become bigger or anything other than just something that's humble and simple and concentrates on it.
That sounds like a startup, Sam. That doesn't sound like a corporation.
Hey, I'm good. This is what we like. Yeah.
Well, on that, right, I keep struggling to think if you're the board or your PwC or if you're, overlooking this thing, there's going to have to be some type of either reassurance or security or something that the strategy would be different for what's already been done. But I guess if you're basically you're describing a corporate that isn't working that needs to be a startup, surely there's going to be a disconnect between, let's say if you were to raise publicly a bunch of cash, how much cash do you think you'd actually have to raise to make this work from either iwi or public or however that would look? How much cash do you think you're talking about?
Well, I'm not privy. So that's the PwC administrator's job, and with our group shortly, not today, but yeah. But what they did last 5 o'clock last Tuesday, remember, so it hasn't been long. They've been spending the last their head around the picture, and they are going to come up with the answer. We need X dollars now. We need X amount, and we need X amount in the long term. But just in terms of dollars, we've got payroll to pay over these next weeks, and to do that, then we move on to whether they should run the Skywalker, the gondolas sites. Now, there's decline that one. But the cash, because of the COVID years restrictions, the gondola, which was built only in 2018-19, has never had a chance to stretch its legs and show what it's capable of doing. So just for a start, we'd like to see the gondola, the sightseeing operation, run this summer, because we believe it's cash flow positive. And just see what that can do. And then we'll try and finance it up to run for next winter. You talked about what the board might do. Well, our bottom line is that the current directors are all, they all resign. We don't see them again. We've got to get a fresh sort of board on board. And I think PwC will probably agree with that, but I haven't asked them myself.
Would you go onto the board?
No, I didn't hear you. Hang on.
Would you go onto the board?
What's happened here? Not hearing
I lost you. Oh, he might have been gone. Ah, shit. Sorry, team. I think we've lost him. All right. Interesting chat, interesting banter. Appreciate Sam's time for being able to jump in from edge to edge, Sam Clarkson. Who knows how this will play out? I thought I just want to get it out. And if you've got some other thoughts, feel free to reach out to me and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good day, team.